Hello, my name is Benjamin Piper, also goes by Golden Bacon. I'm here today with Kevin and Alex. Of course, Alex is returning, and today we're going to be talking about a little bit behind the scenes of the Shinbangumi album. So, Kevin, how are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you so much for having me on. It's an honor to be here.
Thank you. I appreciate it. So, to start things off, my first question goes to Kevin. What was it like to just work with Ginger Root?
Um, I think it was working with Ginger and his whole team. It's like a well-oiled machine. It's a lot of creativity that kind of like circulates um his music videos, and there's always like a lot of intention between either the storyboarding or the scripts that he had, and kind of it it was kind of interesting being an extra on the music video because you're sitting and waiting for them to like cue you in and to like set up the space. So for us there's a lot of downtime, but for them they're always like, you know, drafting ideas and seeing that things will work, and you can see like their mind turning about like what shots or how to make shots. So it was an interesting and kind of excellent experience in like creativity to like see them work. And I thought it was very rewarding. Alex can probably elaborate on it a little bit more from a technical standpoint because I'm not a very, it seemed like everyone was a camera person, whether it's like floppy drives or like film or like, just all these things like they knew about, they weren't just like, hey, like what aperture or frame speed are you shooting at? They were like in it, and they were so like knowledgeable about it. I felt like the jock on set. I'm like, oh, like what do I do with my hands? Like, but it was an awesome experience.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. It was just cool to see you guys all there and just having a good time, of course. And then I don't know cameras as much as you guys probably do. You probably know more than I do. I don't know, but uh, I'm getting there slowly but surely. As I do more and more interviews, I'm getting to know cameras and audio and all that good stuff. So to do bigger and bigger projects in the future.
Mhm.
Yeah. So, for my next question, anyone can answer this one. What was the craziest or funniest thing to happen on set?
Hmm. Craziest or funniest thing to happen on set. Um, I don't know if it was like crazy, but I think just bringing out all the different props that Taylor had made was really cool. I don't want to keep bringing up the briefcase expo, but that was like a really fun. It was just such a fun sequence, and to see uh Casey, the briefcase mascot, was just so cool. Um, like someone built that, and to see props in person is just really neat in general.
Yeah. Ginger goes all out for their props, 100%.
Yeah. Kevin, did you get to see the robot?
No, I actually didn't even know that the robot was part of it till um the finale. But I did watch the people kind of like do their how it's made, and they were showing like the timeline, and and even like doing the backdrop, it was like massive. Just like seeing it all pieced together, I think was like one of the more like interesting things because it's not all sequential. It's not shot all in sequence. So when it kind of like gets stitched together at the end, you have the ult or like the Ultra Drive or the Overdrive Academy, and then you have like the sequences of Nana and the diner all kind of being put together, plus like our Alex and I, our lagoons getting like pieced together as well. It's really awesome to see because all this creativity is kind of like now hitting the vision, and it's like they're stitching together the pieces. But to kind of reiterate what Alex was saying is like, yeah, like they just bring out a tiny model set of like Juban, and then they just bring out all these costumes and all these like props and all these things that like probably took a lot of time to like really think about and are crafted with intention. it's just really inspiring to like see all of that kind of presented in front of you, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty cool. Ginger, like I said, they go all out with their props, and it's just really inspiring, like how many things they can come up, even with like the last album, Nisimono, with
Hmm.
Over the Hill and gosh, Loneliness, and just all this stupid like Ginger Snap and all those different
Hmm.
things. I like how we go from like a tiny camera, like a portable camera, to a full-on suit. That's kind of an upgrade. So Alex mentioned in the last interview that you were dancing with Matt while listening to that French song. How did that start?
Oh,
In the
which
Briefcase Expo,
I forget
behind the
what French.
scenes.
Oh,
Oh,
hmm?
oh no, I
Go
was just
ahead,
gonna say
Alex.
it's Le Impertis, um, the French funk band.
Oh, yeah, the one with like the like logo where it's like three people on the front.
Yeah,
Um, I think we were just sharing music, and then I was just talking to them about I don't know. I just like, I just, they're all music people, so it's like I imagine they like to dance. And then I was just being funny because I'm already in costume and already kind of playing this character. So then I thought to just like kind of like play it up. And then, you know, Alex is really good at documenting things. And for me, it's like instead of like shying away from a camera, I'm like, oh, camera's on. All right, turn it up. Just crank it up. Because at that point, you're already like caught and you don't want to be like, you have two routes. You have either be like awkward and be like, oh, I'm shy, or be like, no, just own it. Right. So I was just like owning it. And then like, and I don't know if, I think what is it? Was it Matt was with me? We were by like the
Yeah.
snack table. So I was like dancing and I was like feeling good because I had snacks. So it was just a very organic moment, but there were so many like very special moments that we didn't capture just because you're like existing. I
Mhm.
feel like that's kind of a thing with if you're a camera guy, I don't know, I mean, I guess this is a question for Alex. It's like, do you always feel the need to like capture these moments because you have a camera or a video recorder? Like, do you feel like Sean Penn at the end of Walter Mitty where you're about to take the picture of the snow leopard, but you're like, no, this one's for me? Like, does that ever feel like a weight?
I think like I've been into photography and cameras for a long time. Not that I'm an amateur professional at all, but just like always taking pictures, trying to like capture an organic moment is something that I try to do. Like more candid moments, I guess. And it's nice to capture it, but it's also like to Kevin's point, to just, you don't have to take a picture or a video of everything. It's nice to just be able to experience that with friends, and coworkers. So
Yeah, that's pretty nice. So, I guess just moving on, and like you said, capturing those moments are just it's kind of hard because at the same time you want to like live in that moment, but like someone who's like into photography and camera work and stuff, at the same time you want to capture it. So it's kind of hard to balance that act, especially when you're in it and doing a job, I
Hmm.
guess. I
Hmm.
don't know. But yeah. So I guess just moving on. I didn't ask this question, and I should have. I should have asked this question for everyone involved in Ginger Root. What's your guys' favorite Ginger Root song?
I'm a big fan of B4. Um, that's one of my favorites. But honestly, I'm just a huge fan of all of his music. New albums are good too. Um, Giddy Up. I mean, it feels like Cameron
So
writes
good.
his music just to, um, d like he's like, I know this would be fun to sing, so I'm gonna write it, and that's just how it feels to me.
Yeah.
For me, it's I don't know if this like counts, but I kind of honestly like listening to toaster music, because like I mean, just like him in the situation where like he's like recording in his car and like there's a cop and just like it's very organic. But I also don't want to be the the basic dude who's like, oh, I like Loretta. But like for me, like Loretta kind of like changed my trajectory of life and kind of like set me on this like different path just because of my connection and who I am and kind of like him doing something. Uh like so basically to explain it and not to keep so mysterious is like I I was coming off a depressive state doing like an NFT project and I took a trip to New York and came back and was trying to do um like more for the little Tokyo community. And then I saw Loretta, I just clicked it on YouTube. I was like, who is this guy? He's doing like so much for like Japanese culture. And I find out his name is Cameron Liu, which is the same last name as me, right? Spelled Lew. Very unique, not a lot of us, right? So then I fast forward to going to find a show and I go to the Broad and basically I get the attention of David and I'm like, hey, I think that guy's my cousin. He's like, what? And I show him my driver's license and he's like, he takes my driver's license and goes and like ID checks it with like Cameron. He comes over and he's like, he's like, "Hey, how's it going, Cameron? Blah blah blah. You're my cousin." And I'm like, I don't know. There's only so many of us, right? And essentially, I was like, "Oh, where's your grandma from?" Like, because he speaks to his grandma. His grandma's still like
Yeah.
around. I'm like, "Oh, she's like, oh, she's from like Toisan, and so is my grandma." Like, we're from like this small village in like China called Toisan, and they speak a very small dialect, that's only like native to their village. So it's kind of like dead in regards to like Cantonese and Mandarin. And because of that, um, he was like, oh, like, well, they came through uh, um, this like Chinese association and all these other things, right? So I'm like, okay, cool. Like, it's inspiring to like have maybe a family member doing like this for like uh Japanese culture and like kind of like the overall like genre. And then fast forward, I go to like the Echoplex and I'm in the back and I'm like taking a picture. I'm taking like a selfie of myself. And and then these two people are like, "Oh, are you taking a selfie with us?" And I'm like, "Why would I do that?" Like, "Oh, because we're that guy's mom and dad." And I'm like, "Oh, auntie, uncle, how's it going?" Right? And they're like, what? And then I explained the whole situation. And it just kind of like, I don't know, it just set me on this crazy trajectory. And then fast forward to like me doing the music video and him giving me a chance and stuff like that. I would say like Loretta really like changed my trajectory of life and is very important in terms of music. I still like toaster music, but yeah, I just tangented the whole
That was
story
kind of a
talking about me.
bombshell, yeah. So are you related to Cameron Liu?
I don't, I mean, I can neither confirm nor
No,
deny due to
no,
like our
I mean
records,
that's a lot of
but like
coincidences.
it is, and then like I was
Uh,
always on this like because I do a lot for like Little Tokyo and like the
yeah,
Japanese American
yeah.
community, and I just have all these moments of like very um like serendipitous occurrences, and it was just like one of those things where it's like, why is this happening to me? It's just like this energy and this flow. And then even like me, because I posted his music video for other people, my actor friends and stuff I brush up against, who are in the Japanese American like entertainment industry. Like, oh hey, like go like put your audition in. And then I just sent an audition in because I'm like, whatever, right? And like what was it, Alex? Like, and even Alex and I, like we didn't really know each other, but like they were like, "Oh, hey, this guy needs a ride," and I was like, "Okay, fine. I'm down for the cause." Right? So go pick up Alex, and then we go to two shoots, and I guess they just liked our look, Alex, right? That
Yeah.
yeah. And then they're like they brought us back for more, and I'm like, this is like steamrolling, right? And then it just
Yeah.
kind of like fosters from there, and then. now I'm doing interviews and I'm dressing up as a Japanese American anchorman and all these things. I would say, yeah, in terms of like, you know,
Yeah.
DPS, like AOE, like Loretta probably has the biggest impact, but I still like Ricky and Mahjong Room and like
Yeah.
Toaster Music. But yeah, I would say yeah, I'm just the basic B, so it's cool.
I was just gonna say over the hill just because I liked it.
Yeah, my bad.
But I
Just
guess yeah. In conclusion,
in
David, we need a
conclusion,
DNA test.
oh, there you go.
Yeah, we need something. Like, come on, like, geez, Louise.
I
Um,
don't know.
yeah, yeah. Kevin, what's your favorite way to prepare an egg?
My favorite. I just like to Rocky
Good
Balboa
question.
it into a glass and just
Yeah, of
chug it
course, of
down. Actually, I
course.
don't like eggs. I don't like eggs.
Really?
Like
Huh?
like they
Interesting.
just like I'll give up my like soft-boiled eggs to like my partner or like I you know what it is? It's the sulfur smell. Like when I was like a little kid,
Oh, no, I get
I'd put
it.
a lot of ketchup on it and I
That's
would
what
just
I
like
do.
yeah, I would smother it and at that point in time, am I eating eggs or am I eating ketchup?
Yeah.
Like am I do I really like if I go to like a breakfast buffet, do I
Hmm.
put scrambled eggs on my plate because I want it or because it's there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Butter, garlic, seasoning, salt, pepper, done. That's what you gotta do.
Oh,
I just
okay.
had it this morning. That's what I had. I had
Okay.
eggs. I scrambled. I just do
Uh,
scrambled. I used to do over easy. Yeah.
Over, yeah, because I mean you can still season an over easy egg.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just
Yeah.
not like I don't know, just
I just think scrambled's better.
I
Yeah.
like my eggs in the morning like how Adele eats her eggs in a cake.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
That's fair. That's fair. So, gosh. Man, I don't even know where to segue this one to other than your other question. But
What what about Alex? How does he like his eggs?
Oh,
Alex.
I'm also I'm pretty basic when it comes to eggs. Um, I like eggs Benedict. Uh,
Ooh.
so I'm not gonna
That's a
make
This
that
good
every morning.
kid.
No, I
That's
if I
so
make eggs in the morning, it's just gonna be like over easy with like some spices on top.
Yeah, Alex goes all out each morning.
dude, he just like wakes up just to make himself one Benedict
I have to
and then he
start
goes,
by making the
yeah.
English muffin.
Yeah.
And he gets the hollandaise sauce too. He
Dude,
gets
yeah, like
to
thermos
emulsify
hollandaise sauce.
the
Oh yeah.
hollandaise sauce.
yeah.
Oh,
So Kevin, if you were a
uh,
tempura, what would you be?
dang. I feel like I've heard these questions.
I don't know where I got these questions. These are just
I don't
random
know.
questions.
Honestly, if
It's
I was a
just
tempura, I'd be or the one I like is sweet potato.
Hmm.
But like I feel like if I personified myself, I'd be like a shishito pepper. Because sometimes you don't
okay.
know what you're gonna get.
That's
Sometimes
true.
the shishito pepper is like really mild. It's like, oh, that was nice. And sometimes it just like kicks. And I think that's like me as a person, depending upon like how I'm vibing with like the
Hmm.
atmosphere. It's like
Yeah.
either I'm like full intensity, like who brought this guy, or I'm just like kind of
Lay
in the
back,
background,
chill.
just chilling. Yeah. But
Honestly.
sometimes there's hardly, if any, like in between. I think. Yeah. Alex, what kind of tempura would you
Yeah.
be?
Um, that's a good question. Um, does does misukatsu count as tempura
What's
because
that?
it's fried?
What miso? What?
Misokatsu, the pork cutlet.
That's a
It's
katsu.
def right. Um, no, I don't know. Probably shrimp, something basic like that.
I
Heavy.
was gonna say that, but I didn't think too much of my answer either. I was just gonna
What
go with
what
the
what?
easy
It's
answer.
hard because I
The
mean I don't
shrimp.
really have tempura that
Yeah.
often.
No, me. I
What
don't. Yeah.
But
would
there's
you
like
would you?
the hmm?
Hmm?
Go ahead, Kevin.
Would you be like a prawn or would you be like one of those like curly shrimp? Or would you be like the straight shrimp or like
Like
sweet
the
shrimp?
long like the one that came to
Yeah,
my mind when you asked
is
was
like
like
the
those long like
yeah,
yeah, yeah,
I was
yeah.
thinking the curly one that you said.
Yeah, yeah. See, because there are different shrimps too. Like,
yeah.
you go to like different spots because the long one you're talking about is like a prawn. It's like
Right, yeah, yeah,
almost
yeah.
like a
Probably a
like
prawn then.
it's like a miniature lobster. It's like that. But like the curly shrimp are like what I think of like coconut shrimp or I sound like bubblegum, coconut shrimp, tempura shrimp, katsu shrimp, right?
Coconut
It's a
shrimp.
lot you can learn about shrimp,
Coconut
like,
shrimp's good.
yeah,
Oh, I
yeah.
have a question for Kevin. How do you like your
Oh,
matcha?
how do I like my matcha?
Fair question.
I honestly like my matcha straight because I like it. I recently went to like a place called Regent Coffee in Glendale, and my buddy Kareem works there, and like he gave me like the matcha like kind of just like straight up, and it's very bitter. But I drink my coffee also black because I'm like you should probably like taste it for its purity, right? After you add sugar or milk and all these other things, is like it, are you really enjoying matcha or are we just having another frappuccino? You know? Another one that like I've yet to try, but it's because uh, I just haven't put the time or effort. But my friend June, his dad made like from Suki no Katsura, which is like the oldest sake brewery in Kyoto. He makes a
Mhm.
matcha cocktail. So you like take matcha and sake and you just whip it. So it becomes like frothy because like sake has like notes that are very sweet and umami, but then the matcha like, frosts up and makes it kind of bitter. But it's kind of cool because like, you just like put that in like a nice little martini glass and then you have essentially like a matcha latte, but it's alcoholic rather than Starbucks.
Huh.
Yeah. So, but what about you guys? Sorry, I feel
Yeah.
like
Well, I'm
No,
not a
that's
big fan of that, so I don't usually drink that stuff. There's something like that.
matcha?
you don't
Yeah.
drink that stuff? Oh,
No.
oh, oh.
So you're
I
missing
don't
out
even
then,
know if
man.
we even have it, to be honest with you, here in the middle of Iowa.
Wait,
So
yeah, I was about to say, I was like, because his for the viewers, I totally screwed up. I was like, I'm on time. I'll make 1 p.m. Blah blah blah, and you're like, we're on early, and I was like 2 hours early, and you're like,
no,
no, a
five
few minutes. I'm like,
minutes.
shoot, okay, but yeah, like in Ohio, like where is there like where do
What
you
kind of
procure like your Japanese stuff?
So, for me, what I have locally is like a handful of shops. We have, Chinese cuisine, but like there's a couple of stores like sushi restaurants. Um like there's an Oyama, which is actually pretty darn good. Like I believe they're from Japan. But so it's not much. It's very limited. So that's about it. That's why I have to go to Chicago. That's why I have to drive 3 hours to actually
Are you?
yep, I'm dead serious. But I'm a huge baseball fan, so I'm already driving to all the games already. So I mean like Imaga's there, so the pitcher for the Cubs. He's
Hmm,
great. Gosh. I show up on a Monday and he strikes out 10 people in a row.
wow.
But yeah. So not a whole lot, limited options. But for me, how I discovered the Japan world and all that stuff was mainly I was on SoundCloud one day, heard Loretta, and then fell in love with Ginger Root, and then I ran into him by accident. So it
Hmm.
started with actually, they were at Hippocampus. They were the headliner for Hippocampus, and they happened to be at Chicago. We already had tickets to Hippocampus, and my parents were like, "Oh, let's see who the headliner is." So because we might be late, so like let's see who it is. So it's this ginger root guy, this geeky dork, and it's like we have all the time in the world. Like we can miss this guy, no problem. And
Clip
then
that, Alex.
yeah, yeah.
Highlight clip.
Yeah,
There's a clip.
who is
Yeah.
this dork?
Yeah. No, fair. Continue.
But
Sorry.
then I run down the stairs and I go, who? are we going on this day? And it's just like, oh my gosh, one of my favorite bands are headlining for Hippocampus. And since sure enough we got there, and then when the Hippocampus started, I just talked to Cameron for like probably a whole hour while he was reading One Piece at the booth stand because everyone was there for Hippocampus. It was like me and like 12 people that actually knew who Ginger Root was at the time. So I just talked to him for like hours and hours and hours. And then I got to meet David. And then I was like one of the first people in the Ginger Root Discord server. And then when he came back to Chicago, I was the guy that put up all the fan made posters about the
Uh,
Discord server.
for sure.
And David saw that for the first time. This was like 2021. So, and
Okay.
then he came to me. It's like, who put up these posters? And then David like came to me and he was like, he had the camera and everything, and he was doing the testimonials. So,
Oh,
that's how I got into the testimonials. And then after
well.
that, me and David just kept in touch the entire time.
I see.
So yeah,
Wow.
that's my little story.
That's so wild that like only 12 people were like at his
At the
show.
time.
Because
Yeah.
I mean, even my friend Kentaro said he was playing at the what is it? The
Well, he was the headliner, so there was a big crowd, but there was around only 12 people that actually knew who he was.
oh, I
So
see. Got
yeah,
it. For
there
sure.
was like a
Yeah.
thousand people there, but
Okay. I was like, oh yeah. No, I mean that's isn't that how like festivals work? Is like they throw
yeah.
you into like people are, oh, let's just go, like let's just sway to this, or
Hmm.
or
Yeah.
go see that. But it's really great that it's only organic. So like backing up, because
Hmm.
of Loretta, you set
Yep.
yourself into this trajectory of like being infatuated with Japanese culture.
Well, actually, somehow it was even before Ginger Root.
Okay.
Yeah, it was actually anime. I during lockdown, I had nothing to watch. There was nothing. Netflix was the big thing. It blew up, of course, and then I went through all the movies, and then I, gosh, I don't even remember what anime it was. It was like the most obscure. It was just whatever the hell was on Netflix. But
Oh.
so I watched this, and then I was like, oh, this is actually kind of cool. So, and then I got into Studio Ghibli and I watched all the Ghibli films and
Hmm.
I love
Yeah.
that. And then I got recommend more and more openers and endings for animes and I was like, this is actually really nice. And then I got into City Pop and then that's how I got to Loretta. Yeah.
Oh wow.
Mhm.
All from like early 2020.
So it started 2019 and then it was
Okay.
2020 when I discovered him. And then
Got it.
when I met him and talked to him was 21. And
Okay.
then at the same year, Chicago is 21 as well.
I see.
Mhm.
Okay. Wow. I was just curious as like
Yeah.
because like I thought it started with Loretta, but but
Got a
you
little bit of
obviously like
history.
anime and all this other stuff. Cool. Yeah.
What's your
I'm
guys'
glad
favorite anime?
uh, go Alex. I've been talking a lot.
Oh, sorry, no, I was just having fun listening. Was the question
What's your
favorite
favorite
anime?
anime? Yeah.
Hmm. I think I usually say like Lupin the Third.
Mm,
Um,
Mm.
Probably because it's just really fun. It's got a lot of history to it too, because it came out, I think, in the 60s and
mm,
70s as when it kind of started from the Monkey Punch manga, which was um it was a little weird back then, but I was certainly more interested in the anime. And it's just kind of like the Scooby-Doo of Japan,
mm,
and it's not really known here as much.
uh,
But it's just a lot of fun to me. So,
mm,
and it's had like a lot of really cool iterations where they
mm.
change the art style. But
It-
it's like a core gang of thieves that go around and
yeah,
um, they're they're thieves, but they're
yeah.
not like evil.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, because don't they have like they have a new one coming out, right?
Um, they
Like
had the
Lupin 3 RD, right?
I think so. Yeah.
Oh,
Oh,
I don't
yeah.
remember.
I've never really I always see it like in like the Sun Coast or like the anime section, but I've never like really delved into it. But hearing that it's like a very heist oriented like anime Ocean's 11 seems really cool, you know.
Yeah,
And then that
oh no, sorry,
it's
go ahead,
been
Kevin.
oh, and that it's been from like the 60s because it just seems like it's one of those things where it's like, oh, I'll watch it eventually, you know, and then, but I've never heard someone to be such a fan of it. But the art style is always awesome. Very, very cool.
Yeah. What's really cool is going back to Ghibli,
Mhm.
Miyazaki actually directed and animated some of the very early episodes.
Hmm.
And so you'll see his style. He also did Castle of Cagliostro, which was one of the early Ghibli films, but it's also Lupin the Third.
Yeah, that's awesome. For Kevin, what's your favorite anime?
So I would say like the most influential anime for me would probably, I mean, Dragon Ball Z is always going to be a fan favorite, but it's way too long. But like I would say Samurai Champloo. That was like my
Okay.
jam because like I've always been like a hip hop kid and I've always been like interested in like the Meiji era, like feudal Japan, and it just kind of blended things perfectly. And it was kind of like, I don't know, at that point in like life, it like personified who I was. It's like, oh, I'm a Japanese American kid, mixed Asian American,
Mhm.
like in LA, uh, county, and like hip hop's pretty predominant. And then you have this like mix of these two cultures kind of clashing, but in anime. And that's like when like dude, I wore a big old like yellow Samurai Champloo shirt to like high school, and people are like, "What are you doing? Like, what is that?" I'm like, "I think it's
Okay.
cool." You know, like yeah, like I bought this at Hot Topic. Like, how is this not like cool? You know,
Yeah,
um,
get with the
but it was
times.
like at the, it was way before. It was when anime people had to be closeted. Like
Oh yeah.
you like people were reading like Cardcaptor Sakura and Chobits and like you were in like the first 10 volumes of Naruto.
Hmm.
One Piece was like not its like epic saga that it is now, an undaunting like amount of episodes. Bleach was like just popping off, like, you know,
Yeah.
and Inuyasha and like uh what is it? Gundam was still like on Toonami, like all that stuff. But like that one kind of like set the tone for like, oh, like, you know, I feel like, and then that's when like Kanye West and like Nico and Bape were like really hitting. So you had this overlap in real life and also in this anime space that like hip hop and like Japanese culture were like melding, you know, they're like fusing like this like new edge, a new sword, right? And then that always like resonated with me. Is like, oh, if I could like ride this line of being like embracing my Japanese culture, but also hip hop in a way. I'm like, oh, I think that's like a long lasting kind of like endeavor, you know, and it just kind of like set the tone for like who I am,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. But
That's pretty
what
cool.
about you?
So I'm more of a comedy guy myself. I like to be a little
Okay.
bit more cultured. Um, I liked Ghost Stories English dub.
Wait, I swear, have I seen you on like a interview where you're like at a anime expo and someone like asks
No,
you what your favorite? Okay.
unfortunately
I feel
not.
like,
No,
oh,
Oh.
actually, that's where I got the
uh,
answer though. No,
okay.
someone
Yeah.
said,
See,
I just
see,
got that recently. Someone said that recently. I know that because I saw it on my Instagram page, but I was
no.
like, that's honestly my answer. Um, Redder than Republican Texas. Oh my gosh. Uh, gosh, what a film. What a film. What a
What
absolute masterpiece.
what is the famous line? Like, it's like run like a black man's chasing you. And he's like,
Oh,
oh,
yeah.
and like picks up, and it's like because okay,
Did the Crips
because
beat
that's
you
your
up
favorite.
too?
Can you explain? Yeah, can you explain to the viewers or the
Okay.
audience of like why it's that way?
So basically what happened was is that in Japan there was and a manga called Ghost Stories that was they wanted to basically make into an anime like any other anime they turn a manga into an anime, and unfortunately for this story it didn't go very well in Japan. It went terribly. They lost a lot of money. So they basically gave it to, they still had to dub it in English, so they gave it to all these voice actors, and then they said, "All right, just do whatever you want, honestly, because we already lost so much money, we don't care." And so, as long as you keep it somewhat towards the story, so them being voice actors, they did exactly what you expect them to do. Just do whatever they wanted. They went crazy. They just like said the most out of pocket stuff. It almost feels like a Family Guy episode with each one, but it pretty much is, or a South Park episode, which
Mm,
whatever one you want that day.
hmm.
But that's like the summary. That's like the quick summary.
Shay.
Yeah.
Oh, that's wild. It's like it's kind of amazing. Like once you give like people like creative freedom, like the amount like that they're like we don't really care, but we're getting paid. Like we might as well just. And what year was that released?
Yeah, I was gonna say like it
90s for
was
sure.
the 90s, right?
Yeah,
Oh, for
like when
sure.
when 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 anime was just like not as like scrutinized or like kind of like
People didn't know, I feel
yeah.
like.
So like you're like
Yeah.
you're like oh well, it's not gonna hit a wide audience, but then you start digging through the crates and you're like, what is this? You know, it's like finding like I don't know. It's just like one of those like old school like very out of touch like pre civil rights movement songs. You're like, can you say that? I don't know if you can say that. Like,
They just didn't
what?
care.
Yeah, you had no idea. You're like,
Yeah.
it's not gonna get further than
The
this.
rules
Like,
were
Yeah,
there are no
like 100
rules.
people are gonna see it.
yeah, especially
I hope
like,
they do.
I mean,
It's one of
yeah,
the
because
best.
like back in the '90s, you had to buy that VHS. Like,
Yeah.
like it
Yeah.
was like it's like if you I don't know if you drink like whiskey, but it's like sometimes like it like you look and you're like, well, I don't want to spend that money because I don't know, right?
Hmm.
But you kind of just like take the gamble, and sometimes some are good and sometimes some are bad. But like when you're like a kid, you got 20 bucks and you're like trying to figure out what 3 episodes of Dragon Ball Z you want to watch over and over and over and over. Like, you're like, oh, where's the like the climax? But I imagine like, only like
Just
people have
yeah,
yeah.
imagine the first ones in the US, like probably in LA because of
Mm-hmm.
the little Tokyo area.
Yeah.
And they're like, okay, a new anime, great. An English dub, perfect. This is good for me. Oh, ghost stories. I love horror stories. And then they pop it in and see that.
Yeah, like what episode do the ghosts come in? Like, do they ever come in?
No, they
Eh,
do. They do.
Well,
But
well, I
they're
asked because
not.
you know how like English titles, like especially in the 90s, butcher the Japanese like what it means,
Oh
right?
yeah, it was
Yeah.
totally butchered,
Um,
100%.
for
But
sure.
again, I mean, they were throwing so many jokes out. It didn't really matter now, did it?
Nah,
Now the
that's great.
animation was still there, so like there was ghosts like right from the
Oh,
beginning.
there we go.
So yeah,
Okay.
there was actual ghosts, demons, all that stuff.
Okay.
Like in the first like 2 minutes,
Yeah.
but then quickly you realize, oh, like they start making
Hold up.
some, literally one of the first like 2 minutes is
Yeah.
just Keshiko and gosh, I can't remember the main character's name, the girl, but they run
Yeah.
in and they're just like, don't worry, demons only get bad people like Republicans, and we're not allowed to vote yet.
It's it's very sophisticated. That's like
Like
Japanese people don't Japanese people don't have Republicans,
no, they
right?
don't.
Right?
But the people that
Like
dubbed it knew who they were talking
yeah.
about.
Yeah, it's just like Republicans are gonna watch early 90s anime.
Yeah, and this
There's
was
no,
like
there's no
before
way.
everything. So this was like well they were talking about Bush for like, so it had to be probably past
But
2000 election. But
but
yeah.
but was it like Bush Jr. or Bush Senior? You know what I'm saying?
Oh, maybe. Shit.
Yeah. Oh, I don't know. I'm just curious because it
Uh,
exists in this pocket of
okay,
time.
now I'm gonna
I feel
look
like
it
it might
up.
have been Bush Senior because it's like I've seen like the anime and it looks much newer, you know, like the
Like early
tonality.
2000s.
Yeah, yeah, like it looks like Yu Yu Hakusho, right?
Yeah.
It looks like
Oh,
Inuyasha
so
palette.
it came out on 2000 of
Okay.
October. So this was like in the middle of the election, basically. So October, November. Yeah, so literally the next month.
Wait, October
Bush.
2000?
Yeah, 2000, right on
Wow.
the dot.
This is before 2000 or 9/11. Wow,
Oh
this is
wow, yeah.
pre
Oh my
right
God. They would have made
where
so
were
many
you
jokes.
where
They
were
would
you
have
during
made
9/11? I was watching Ghost Stories.
so...
Oh, okay.
I
Son, turn off the TV or change the channel.
They hit the Pentagon. They hit the Pentagon.
The dude, do you remember when like in elementary school they would roll out the TV that's like
Yeah.
Yeah, no, 100%.
Yeah.
strapped to a cart? All right, kids, we're gonna watch something that'll change your lives. And they flip
Yeah.
on the TV, it's like ghost stories.
That would change your life.
Yeah, like,
I'm being
oh my
serious.
God, we're being attacked. Like this. Oh,
But yeah, they had
dark.
some crazy, crazy
Oh,
dark like
uh,
jokes. It's such a classic. I actually got
I
multiple friends that said, "Oh, I hate anime. I'm never gonna watch it. It's terrible." I show them Ghost Stories. They now love anime.
hate people. People who say that they hate anime are like people who like don't like vegetables. They just
Yeah.
haven't been like
100%.
properly introduced to like something that's to their palate. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Right? Because like anime is ubiquitous as like TV, right? There's a genre for every like niche, but like if you say you don't, it's because someone's just either giving you bad serial anime, you know, it's making you watch like One Piece filler, or like just, you know, like not like just show someone like the Evangelion like finale and just be like,
What is going
we'll just
on
have
here?
yeah,
Yeah.
the JJK finale and just be like,
Yeah,
am I okay? Like, do I exist? You know,
yeah.
like something like that.
Hey,
But
I still love Evangelion because for some reason, the only thing to survive, like, what was it, the second impact, was the
yeah,
USS Iowa for some reason, the
uh,
battleship.
uh,
No idea why, but it was able to survive. But
mm.
and they mentioned it, so I was like, that's a dub. That's a dub.
uh.
We take those.
Oh dear.
A quick shout out. But yeah, I my mom loves movies. I watch with that's how I got into film industry was my mom. She loves movies, but you know, I'm like, "Oh, I would watch these beautiful Studio Ghibli films." And I'm like, "Mom, you got to watch this." She refuses to watch anything animated. Just anything.
What?
Yeah,
Huh.
just straight up. It has to be humans. I'm
It ha
like,
That's a
that's
weird caveat to have.
"Yep." Unless
But
if it's
not no
Disney,
shade on
like
your
old
mom, but
Disney. That is
it,
the only exception.
it,
Uh,
it's like I feel like it's an American thing, right?
yeah.
Is your mom American?
Yeah. Yeah. She
But like how many generations?
oh probably like we're at three now. We're Irish German.
Okay,
German side came after World War One. Irish side potato famine.
sure. Okay. No, but like in America, it's like cartoons are for kids, and it
Mm,
never goes beyond that. Um,
yeah.
but in Japan, I don't think in Europe either, but like in Japan, like they saw it's like it's a cheap way to get things executed. You know, like that's why mangas are so prevalent. If you can make a manga because you can draw and show a manga is just an elaborate storyboard, you know,
Yeah.
and but one person can do it. And then animation also means you don't have to make sets, you know, like Cameron could have done all of SHINBANGUMI as an anime. Yeah, it may have
That
taken
would be
longer, but he
cool.
wouldn't have to make everything, you know, like
Yeah.
making everything. But I guess in this case, making the things is a lot easier and faster, because animation these days is just like, I mean, unless you send it off to like a production studio. But
Mm.
yeah, I think it's just the notion that cartoons are for kids with like American society across. Only only Disney movies are like appreciated and watched, but even those stories are like kind of kid stories, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's unfortunate, but I think that's changing as generations go on.
Oh, it's 100% changing. I
Yeah.
mean, like in the last few years, I've been heavily involved with I not heavily involved, but the Amazing Digital Circus, Lackadaisy. I know people like yes, brain rot, but like this indie animation studio with
Oh,
Disney completely failing on every single business front and losing
okay.
infinite amount of dollars.
Mm,
I mean, gosh, their business model is completely fallen.
mm.
Um, but it gives an opportunity to have more animation out there, basically, as a result.
Yeah, no, that's really awesome.
Yeah.
I recently was in touch with the one studio that makes a movie called The Glassworker, and they're
Mm.
like a studio out of I think they're out of Pakistan, but they're very influenced by Studio Ghibli, and like the guy who's like the director and the composer, he took a lot of traits from that. So it's about like it's I think it's about like post-war like Pakistan and like all this other stuff, but it's great to see, it's weird to say, but like it's great to see non-Japanese anime, right? Like,
Mm.
like South Korea's pushing a lot.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's anything coming out of
Uh,
China, but like,
oh, yeah.
Yeah, I think so. I've seen some coming out of China.
I
They're
have so
making a
too. I
bigger
was just gonna
animation
say.
push now. But
mm,
yeah, it is really cool to see that like there is still very much a market for it sounds so too businesslike to say there's a market for it, but I mean the people can enjoy animation and there's so many different genres like you were saying. So there is something for everybody.
mhm,
And
Mhm.
especially like a lot of bigger like anime movies can have like the same dramatic themes of reality shows and maybe even darker if it's like a fantasy sort of thing. But yeah, it's super cool to see it.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I always say like life imitates art and art imitates life. I mean, it's a two-way street. I mean, like
mm,
people will see like an amazing movie or an
mhm,
amazing anime and they'll be like, "Yeah, that's what I want to do." And then that leads to a spiral of multiple
mhm,
events in their lives.
mhm.
Yeah. Gosh, what was I talking about?
We talked about last question was like what our favorite anime was,
Yeah, yeah,
and
we
it
just
kind of
kept going.
well, I
That's
mean,
good.
it's a
It's a
very it's like saying like, oh, do you like movies? Like, do you like food? Like what kind of food do you like? Oh, I like Japanese food. Like, oh, kind of Japanese food do you like? Oh, like I like Rurouni Kenshin. Like, I don't know. It's just like
Yeah.
it's just culture consumed is what I'm getting at, It's
Yeah.
like yeah, I mean, it's just the first stepping stone. And then you're like, wait, there's a whole country? Are they anime? Right?
What? Japan
Okay,
is real?
here. We'll do this. I'm gonna pull this card. Um, what do you think about or like have you been in Japan?
No, I have not. I'll get there
And Alex?
eventually.
Alex,
No,
have
I
you been
haven't
there?
actually.
So like what do you think about like people who like basically build their whole personality on liking Japanese culture and then going to Japan and expecting it to be that way?
It's kind of dumb because like I do a little bit of everything. Like I've been to France, but I have friends from Italy, the
Hmm.
UK now with doing through these interviews. So I like to tap into multiple industries. It's not just, oh,
Hmm.
Japan's the greatest and we got to center our
Hmm.
entire life around
Sure.
it and
Yeah.
think place Japan amazing.
Hmm.
But like, dude, there's so many great things about
Hmm.
every country. You don't,
Yeah.
it's not just Japan.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's my view on
Yeah,
it.
I mean, I think Japan certainly is. Uh, Maybe it's just the algorithm for me right now, but everyone's visiting Japan. Um, and certainly there was like people who were really obsessed with Japanese culture and wanted to go. They probably had a culture shock when they realized it wasn't going to be like
hmm
exactly what they expected, right?
Yeah. No, most definitely. Like, yeah. I just asked because like, there's like different categories of people who visit. But like honestly, I think it's just like I feel like Japan's the flavor of the month right now,
Hmm.
Oh,
in terms
100%. I
of
mean,
hmm?
yeah, you go. You go. Sorry to cut you off.
Oh no, it's just like you have this like rise in Asian American and Asian entertainment. I think of it as like there's like an Asian renaissance going on right now where like,
Okay.
a lot more things are being like directed. They're like, oh, Asian Americans have money, so like let's bring all this stuff. That's why Netflix has so much like Korean content, Like when you had the strikes and everything, like you it's like, oh, we could just, rerun Terrace House, rerun like, Squid Games, like do all these things.
Yeah, Squid Games.
And yeah, but now you're getting a sequel, you're getting Mr. Beast doing his own Squid Games kind of thing. Like the soft power cultural influence is huge. And I think and Japan's always been like kind of like slow to adapt in terms of like streaming, not using CDs. Like I was talking to one House of Representative last week, and he was like, "We just got rid of the floppy disk last year."
Yeah, I heard
They,
about that in the news
Oh
article.
man.
dude,
Dude,
I'm
that's
like,
nuts.
so I'm like, "What's next for you?" He's like, "The fax machine," and I'm like,
Let's go.
"Okay,
The
all
big
right."
W. Big W.
Dude, but it's always been a country of like retrofuturism, where it's like
Hmm.
it's advanced, but it's like behind in some certain ways and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I think now because of like Boy and the Heron and Godzilla and like Shogun and stuff.
Yeah. Well, economic wise, I was just gonna add in the
Oh,
Japanese yen is like the lowest
mm-hmm.
it's been since
It,
1990s. So like it
dude,
is for Americans super cheap to go
it,
right now. Like
it
we're
Right.
is.
talking
Yeah.
pennies for the dollar.
Well, I didn't know this, but like the yen is tied to the US dollar, like
Yeah, a
economically.
little bit.
Oh no, like it's how do I describe this? It's specifically tethered. I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
not a financial advisor,
I am.
but
Well, I'm not really,
right,
but I am.
yeah, but like yeah, like I mean, how can you not like want to go to this place that you enjoy when I think the most expensive thing is the flight, right?
It
And that's
is.
kind of like something that I struggle with now in terms of doing all this like uh bridging the gap of like Japan and like the Japanese Americans is like, oh, it's like um how can you help stimulate like their economy by like, you know,
Hmm.
going there and visiting, but not just, having like a field day, you know.
Yeah.
Uh, but yeah, I'd encourage anyone to go. I was just interested because I feel a little hit of anime is the gateway drug. And the next thing you
Yeah.
know,
I'm
like
actually very bullish on Japan's economy, believe it or not, because of not just the yen. I believe Japan will find new ways, especially with AI
mhm,
advancing. They will
yeah.
find a way to utilize that in crazy ways we can't even imagine.
Uh,
And then on top of that, real estate is cheap, cheap. I mean, there's
mhm,
what is it, 14 million abandoned homes? I
mhm,
mean, Americans would absolutely love to go in there, buy a
mhm.
home and then renovate it to boost that economy.
Yeah.
So I'm
Yeah.
quite bullish
Yeah, we
on
just
it.
have to hope BlackRock doesn't buy all the homes.
You better hope not. Oh my gosh.
Oh, is that
Yeah, it's that.
mhm,
Yeah,
Well, I mean, we
they
just hope, right?
yikes.
I mean,
mhm.
I think the government of Japan would probably be pretty quick
Yeah.
to
Oh yeah, they
quell
would
that.
shut them down so quickly it wouldn't even be
Yeah.
funny.
It's like not like yeah, they're against monopolies and stuff like that. But yeah, no, I hear you. Like I just came back from like
Mhm.
Fukuoka and they're like really pushing like for startup cities and like subsidies to like
Yeah.
make businesses there. And it's and I mean, well, Alex and I are from California, so owning
Yeah.
buying a new house outright here is like
Impossible.
you're like Sisyphus. You're pushing a boulder. And if you take one misstep, then you're gonna get crushed. And
No.
then it's just
Yeah.
like, why not why not why not just like go to Japan and get a house for like 60K or
I
like,
mean, even over
And
here, I mean, our cheapest one is
oh,
120, but
120 in Ohio?
Iowa.
Iowa. Okay, Iowa. Sorry,
Three hours, 3 hours left of Chicago. Just drive
sure.
exactly 3 hours. But yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
That,
Fukuoka is our sister city actually. Be cool to have
what?
a yeah,
Is it
Oakland.
really?
Yeah, Oakland's sister city. We have like a sister city organization. Um, and yeah, we actually have a bonsai tree that was gifted to I think it was Roosevelt or one of the really
Oh,
old presidents, and it's in our there's like a bonsai garden that was a gift from
oh,
Japan.
yeah. It honestly, if you want to set up like a meeting between whoever and the Fukuoka guys, they'll hear you out. They're down to just meet people. They're actually going to the Ginger Root concert in Fukuoka.
Oh,
I
That's
I
cool.
I
should
uh, yeah,
I should
I
tell
was
them.
like, yeah, no, I was like, oh, like they're like, I was like,
Shit, I'll
because
join
like,
you. Fuck.
yeah, yeah. Well, I'll just book
Of
flights
course,
now.
easy.
No, but I mean, like, I think it's just because like that's the whole trip that I was on is like a
Hmm.
Kakahashi trip where you're building bridges. So I was
Mhm.
like, I we were late night drinking, and I was like, oh, he's like, yeah. This one guy was like, oh, I love going to like live events, and I was like, oh, my my cousin's coming here. He's like, who? What? Who? I was like, oh, this guy who does like
Cousin.
future funk and city pop. Yeah, yeah. It's just weird to say that, but I was like, yeah, you should go see him. And then I like like made some calls and whatnot because I'm like, oh yeah, like they're trying to find out what's cool to Americans. And I'm like, this guy is like, he's like Chinese American and he's coming here and he does more for like the culture than you know like some other like Japanese American artists, but like it's really just about bridging the gap. No
Hmm.
shade on like other artists and like what they're doing, but like it's just like he's on a global tour. And I'm like, oh, you might as well just meet these people that I just made friends with,
Yeah.
because they're all about pushing people. And I had no idea Oakland was a sister city because
Mhm.
I can mention that and like that would be really cool because
That is cool.
Yeah,
Oakland
we're
has a lot of
well, oh, I'm sorry to interrupt. I was just going to say that it's because when they were choosing sister cities, they have to be similar, and Fukuoka is also a port city, like Oakland is. Um,
mm,
and there's also other similarities, but I think that was one of the major points.
cool.
Um, so,
Hmm.
Yeah, because Oakland has a lot of startups in it, don't they?
mhm.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. This is great. This is another one of those serendipitous moments. Like, if I didn't know Alex, I would,
Yeah,
I'm not,
exactly.
it's not like I spend my time looking up sister cities. I'd be like, hey, how's it going? But no, it's really cool because that's just bouncing back and forth
Yeah.
very organically, you know.
Something I saw really cool recently was that when you pay taxes in Japan, uh, you can choose to send some of your taxes to smaller towns, and you can get like you can redeem gifts by sending money to those towns. I was like, why don't we do that here? That just sounds like a really cool like, and it's specific
Wow.
to those towns,
It,
and so it'd just be like, why don't we do that? But
it,
America to Japan in some sort of delegation. I mean, even if we did it just here in America, where you get cool themed, rewards
yeah,
for sending money.
that's wild because in America we just spend frivolously so that our budget doesn't go down.
Yeah.
But if we're like, oh, we have like, an extra quarter $1 million, let's send it to like an impoverished city to like, redo their streets,
Yeah.
put like,
You gamify it, right? What if we gamified taxes? That's what I'm trying to get at.
I, but okay, it's because they're all Japanese though. It's like
Yeah,
uniform.
the
It's like
culture
that
is,
whole, yes, the
yeah.
greater good. you know,
Yeah,
like, oh, hey, I just got a square watermelon because I donated my taxes to, I had no idea.
that'd
That's
be a
very
But I
good
mean,
idea.
enlightening.
we have
Oh,
donations here, right? What if we just sort of pitched it as like you're donating to like pick up this city that needs some extra help? but you're
I
also paying taxes and you get something out of it.
but
Because so much of taxes here in America doesn't feel
yeah,
like it's going anywhere, right?
no,
It
it
just feels like
gets
you're paying
it gets
into
Yeah,
something that doesn't work.
it gets
yeah.
wasted.
I'll
It's
just
like
send that.
yeah, I mean American tax system is just broken in a different way.
Oh,
It's not well
100%.
thought out. Yeah, because if you think
100%.
about it, like, oh, get on my TED Talk is just like, America's an experiment, right? And it's like, a bunch of different cultures, and the government's only like 300 years old. It's
Hmm.
like, it, it's formulated off of like the European system. But let's face it, Japanese tax system has probably gone through warring period, feudal era. Like this is like
Yeah.
thousands of years of just like, oh, we should think about the other like province or the other fief, They
Hmm.
don't send them kokus of rice, like
Yeah.
better distribution. But I'm gonna have to look into that. Thank you for bringing that up, Alex.
Of
Yeah.
course.
Yeah, well, overall, I think the American economy is already showing signs of miraculously boosting. Like even with Jerome Powell deciding to say some really stupid stuff Wednesday. I think that there will be tax cuts in the future here, and Americans will have more money, and that can be boosted towards Japan, where you get more visitors, where we could send more money. Now, of course, there's gonna be a whole tariff thing, but
Sure.
which is gonna suck. But there, I do think America, for America, the economy is going to get better. There's already signs of it getting
Hmm.
a lot better, and as a result, I think that will slip into Japan's economy as well through tourism and other stuff. Hopefully, hopefully we'll see. Yeah. So,
Sure.
I guess moving on
Oh,
to other
sure.
subjects. Wait, I don't know what the hell we've been talking about, but it was good.
It's cool. It's
So
fun.
besides Ginger, what's your guys' favorite bands currently or songs in those bands?
What was it? There's this Australian band, Something Circles. Um, oh, I'm drawing a blank right now. They're really good.
Um, let's see. I like Sunset Roller Coaster, and I like
Okay.
Hyuko is like a Korean band. Um, they just like had a double album. They're a cool vibe. I think they're like Ginger Root adjacent, like where it's like actual people playing instruments, a band, and
Hmm.
not like uh, a vocal artist or like a rapper. But like they're something to check out because I think Sunset Roller Coaster, um, my Gingy, like they throw on a good show. And then Hyoko is like my friend describes it as like South Korean Beach Boys, a very like
Oh,
surfer vibe.
That's a
no, I
cool
love
vibe.
those guys. I love those
Yeah,
guys. Couldn't remember
yeah.
the name,
So
but I listened to a couple of their songs. They're great. They're
yeah,
amazing.
it's like Hyukoh.
Hmm.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
that's
they're
their
awesome.
yeah, like those bands, but then I'm talking like bands that like I like. I mean, I like
Mm.
Tyler the Creator, Schoolboy Q,
Yeah.
what else? Denzel Curry. I mean, I went to Flog Gnaw like most recently, and they like Doichi is really good. I mean, I like a lot of that hip hop, but like, yeah, those are people that I'm listening to. I would check out Tyler the
Yeah.
Creator's new album. It's gonna win a Grammy, I swear.
Oh, it probably is. I listened to some a little bit of it. I haven't gotten all the way to it, but I've listened a little bit. I actually sent an invite to do an interview with the HYGO group, the Beatles, the South Korean Beatles. I sent an invite to do an interview with them.
Oh, oh
They have not
wow.
responded. I send so many
Oh,
invites, dude. I
do
just send
you?
them. Oh,
How do you
100%.
just
Well, so
really?
I write a
How's that?
professional email. I don't go,
Yeah,
hi. I
yeah,
send, but I DM through Instagram. I go to their email. I send them an
okay,
actual business email.
Yeah.
So it's not just me going crazy, but you never know. So once in a while, like right now, I'm listening to Caravan Palace, and my first interview ever was Hugo from the violinist from Caravan Palace, which
Oh
is
wow.
based out of Paris. But
I mean, yeah. No, I mean, you got to shoot your shot. Like you
that's
can't
exactly
tell.
what it is.
Yeah, yeah, you can't let anyone tell you like, oh, you shouldn't do that. You shouldn't like do that. Because like the only reason why like the only reason why I'm like the mayor of Little Tokyo is because I went knocking on doors. Like I would just like
Mm.
show up and I'd be like, "Hey, who's the manager here?" And like, what do you want?" They think like I'm trying to like extort them for money or something because it's just like I would have a big presence. But like it it you just gotta be fearless, because eventually the doors will open and they'll like, they'll because people like you build like that resume of work and then eventually like now people are like, oh, inviting you or people are like, oh, like, hey, you like, come hang out with these people.
Hmm.
It's just about consistently doing it longer than anyone else.
Yeah.
And that's really good that like you're very ambitious about it because,
Hmm.
not everyone has that and that's
Yeah.
like special. So it's like,
It's also just
just
really fun. It's,
oh,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, just talking to people, having a good time,
Oh,
talking
for
about ghost
sure.
stories.
Yeah. 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 I think every person is their own little microcosm universe of like all these varying life experiences that like no one's the same. So it's just like trying to figure out why they're interesting is very
Hmm.
important. But yeah, no, I vibe with that.
Yeah. I didn't know you were the mayor of Little Tokyo.
I am the unofficial mayor of Little Tokyo.
Oh, okay.
The
I was like,
people voted, but
oh,
that's my nickname. But like
you
some
should
people
run.
like it, some people like it, and some people hate it,
Okay.
and that's fine with me
I,
because
yeah.
hmm,
Oh,
what's
well,
up?
I'm gonna tell you a really quick story because I told Alex
Yeah.
earlier. So I went to Dodger Stadium for a baseball game. That was the only time I was in LA. And we ate something bad. I don't know what it was, but we like it was probably the Dodger dog or something terrible.
Oh,
We
yeah.
went to Little Tokyo by accident because
Yeah.
our hotel was just right there. And we went to this ramen place. Man, that just instantly cured
Oh,
everything. Like instantly went from having a stomach ache to just completely gone with
oh.
one bowl of ramen.
Do you know which place?
No idea. There was a
Dang,
hole in the wall, but
I'm just gonna go say like our ramen has curative properties. You know,
I was
it's like
gonna
an
say
on it's like an onsen for your tummy. You know,
100%. I'm
right?
like,
It's
Jesus,
like
this is the best ramen I ever had.
that's so funny. I'll
That's a
have
really good
to.
tagline.
Yeah.
Yeah,
This ramen cures stomach aches.
yeah.
That's
It
that's the
cures.
advertisement.
Yeah, who needs Pepto-Bismol? Just eat Hachioji ramen.
Exactly.
Just like go down to Aze, go down to Karaku. I don't, Mr. Ramen. I don't know. Yeah, just like yeah, just Japanese food has cured. Dude, that's all. To segue a different tangent is like I know this one lady who has a PhD in like agriculture, and her whole thing is like Japanese gardens have curative properties.
Yeah.
And like in my mind, I'm like, does Japanese food have curative properties? Like all like the fermented, like miso and
Mhm.
like
Yeah, miso
ginger,
soup,
pickle,
the
like yeah,
best.
all these kinds of things. Like we don't think about it, but like the American diet doesn't have much fermented things in it. Oh,
It's
yeah.
terrible, the
Let's get
American diet.
Oh, speaking
what
of like things I put on eggs, it's not Japanese. I put kimchi on my egg. It's Korean.
that 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 is good. That I like. Well, it makes it taste like it. It makes it
Yeah,
dynamic. It's like
Yeah.
spicy and umami and slightly like cold and crunchy, where eggs are just like
Yeah.
yeah, But
yeah,
that's just the kimchi scramble at BCD tofu.
yeah,
Okay. Wow. Okay. I
yeah.
I just
So
connected it. Like you get the steam egg at like the B. Okay. Got it.
yeah, Yeah.
Sorry.
So one question I do have to ask, especially Kevin, while you're here,
Oh,
I have to ask this question. What was it like to throw Nana out of the studio?
dude. Oh my gosh.
Gotta
This is gonna be
kick.
the
You
highlight.
kicked her out. You like
This is gonna be
threw her out.
this is gonna be the highlight clip because I almost got stuck in Japan and I knew I had to be on shoot because it was like later on a Tuesday, right? And
Mhm.
basically they're like, "Oh, you're gonna do this, right?" And I'm like, "Okay, well, how do you want me to throw this like Japanese lady in heels? Where do you want me to throw her?" They're like, "Oh, throw her towards the camera." I'm like, "Are you sure?" Right? So, or I'm like how far? Like, because it's like it was almost like a dance sequence because we were like they told me like like my motos and then like my timing, but just trying to like do it, and we must have done it like 10 times
Oh.
just to get like the right like I guess bounce because it is like one, two, three, four. But it was a lot of fun because afterwards they did like the ragdoll effect and whatnot. And at the time I didn't like piece it together. I'm like, oh, this is like from like the other studio. But it was a lot of fun and I think it was like one of like the shining moments of like the finale. Because I was like at the time I've been I've been shooting all these like things and I'm like, well, it's not in that music video, and it's not in that music video, and it's not that. I was just wondering, I was like, when are I'm like, did they just scrap me? Like, did they just like, But when it came out, I was like, oh, that's like, definitely a highlight reel for my extra acting. But it was fun. And it was like the setup was really cool. And even like the bloopers, you see the bloopers
Yeah.
there's one where like I threw her like towards the camera and it hits the camera and jostles it. Like and I was afraid because I'm like oh like I don't know how many of these like cameras they have but it's delicate. So I was like oh snap but it was a fun experience and I'm glad that the team like believed in me to do it and like it's great to like have Cameron and David be like, "Yo, that was great. Let's do it again." Like, be excited, you know? Like you're just trying to get their like seal of approval of but like, yo, like you're doing their vision justice. And I think it was super cool to like rise to the occasion of that position, you know? But it I I just go in and I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing today, but I'm here, I'm in character, let's go. Let's run it, you
Yeah.
know? So, but yeah, I love the way it turned out.
That's awesome. Yeah. Yeah, so what you said you did like other acting stuff or other music videos that you were in? Or no? Or maybe I misheard you.
Um, no, I mean, this whole Ginger Root thing is like my first music video as
Okay.
like an
Yeah.
extra. But then yeah, no, I don't think I have anything
I
else
mean,
on my resume. What's up?
well, you had like you did the interviews and stuff, so you do have some stuff. I mean, like I don't know how much you count that as
The
acting on the
interviews? What do
spot.
you mean?
The how you interview other people and stuff like that.
So that's all post the music videos. Like I started doing that afterwards.
Oh damn.
Yeah, so in
Oh,
a
I thought you'd
way,
been doing it for a while.
no,
I
in a
guess
way.
not.
Well, I have a podcast with some friends, and we kind of
Okay.
like did the podcast before, but in terms of like content creation, it's all after the it's okay. So back to my origin story. It's like after doing like the music videos with Alex and I was like, oh, this is cool. It's like a TV station, and like I already like we're all dressed like old anchors. I was like, oh, I had this idea for this character that for a long time it was just like this idea for this character called David Okonomiyaki, and then since then I was just like kind of like, oh. I I did like promo for Karaku as like this character and then kind of just like that was my acting after the extra stuff. Right. And like people are like, oh, you seem comfortable on camera. And I was like, oh, well, we do like podcasts and we do all this other stuff. And then it's just kind of like steamrolled because I was like, interviewing seems like the next best thing because then like I'm always about hyping up other people and kind of like making them shine. So I'm like, oh, I could ask other people. I look silly. I look ridiculous. My like people are not prepared for Kelly Tamago's character, but I'm like, yeah, I just want to know about you because you're
Yeah.
important. You're a person in the world. There's something interesting about the person I'm interviewing. And if I don't get good content, it's because I'm a bad interviewer. Right? I need to ask better questions. I need to like really extract it out of the person. But yeah, I guess slowly but surely, becoming more of an actor, want to do more acting things.
Cool.
Uh, Mainly because I have no shame. So that's always a plus. I'm like, okay, we'll do this. We'll do that.
Yeah.
Just being down for the cause. But
Yeah.
yeah,
So yeah. Um, last few questions, I guess.
yeah.
Uh, like besides mayor of Little Tokyo, what's your other professions?
Uh, my other professions, my other professions professionally are, I'm a chemical engineer, and
Oh
I
shit.
do, what is it? I
That's
make
cool.
prototypes and I do like SDS sheets and make infographics for our company.
That's
And
cool.
whatchamacallit, and because of that, um, like I have this whole like science side to me. And then
Mhm.
outside of that, I do community stuff where I'm a community leader and I'm like involved in like just like other kind of what is it? Organization and events and kind of like putting together different different aspects of that. So those are kind of my like side gigs. But yeah, but professionally, just a chemical engineer, putting
Yeah, that's awesome.
molecules together. Thanks.
So before I let you go, and it's been great talking to you, maybe I can get on that podcast of yours. But
Oh,
I
sure.
always leave this last question for everyone that's worked for Ginger Roots and all that stuff. And it is, I do have to admit, it is the hardest question. Like a lot of, it is a very hard question to talk about. But my last question for you
Sure.
is, who is Loretta?
Or, I saw this question and I didn't prepare. Um, Loretta.